Right, well, another day, another set of jobs. I'm going to be putting spud crop in. These are the ones that I've already chitted, and I've got some other stuff to sort out. I've got some horseradish which I'm going to be putting in, and I've got some tidying up to do. This is where the spuds are going to go. Needs a bit of work. I'm not too fussed about the weeds and that, because once you get potatoes in and once they get started, not really, there's not a lot that competes with them. One thing I'm going to have to do though is check where the onions were, because as you can see, they're not all where I left them. Starting to grow. So what's happened here is birds have been down here pecking about on the soil. You see that there's one there. I'll figure out where that goes. There's another one, not where I left it. So they've come down, and where the little bits of the onion tops are poking out, especially the green ones, they've pecked at them thinking, oh, something to eat. So if you ever grow onions or shallots and you go down to where you've planted them and find them scattered all over the place, it's probably the birds have thrown them about a bit. Once they get rooted in properly though, they'll be fine. I've no idea where this one was. Possibly over there. I'll put it over there. And you can just pop them back in the ground. Right. But they probably will pull them up again. Oh. There's a bee. It's always a good sign. Things are starting to progress quite quickly. We've had some warm weather. That's one of our apple trees coming out in bud. And the other one is as well. So things are moving quite quickly now, especially once the weather warms up. So, time to get sorted out, I guess. Right, so I've got most of the spuds in now. See, little rows. So I started with the reds, and I've just moved along with the whites as well. You can see they go up that way. If I go this end, you can kind of see along there where I've made like a bank, if you like. That's because the plot slopes slightly that way, and when you water it, the water tends to just dive down there. So hopefully this will contain it a little bit better. I do something similar with the squashes. But to plant the spuds, all I do is I get my little cultivator and basically mark a line, which is like a small trench almost, all the way along where I want them. And then my spuds, I take a trowel and I dig a hole. So I'll put the first one here. Spud with the shoots pointing up in the hole. I'll come along roughly a foot. Another hole. It's got quite a few shoots on it. Spud in the hole. And so on and so on. There's other ways you could do it. You can put them in and earth them up straight away, or you can do it like this. We don't even need to make the the little mounds over them. You just put them in as soon as you see a shoot, start earthing it up then. But the idea is that as the shoots come out of the surface, you earth it up, and the tubers, potatoes, will form down the spud. So the more earth you get above it, in theory, the better the crop. Which is why growing them in bins and stuff is quite a good idea, because you've got the height, you know, that you might not be able to get. So I've got those to put in, and in my little basket are experimental ones, which I'll try and keep separate so we can gauge the difference. But that is basically it. So dig a hole, spud in the hole. Obviously you need to leave a fair amount of room between your mounds, so here's probably between that side and that side, or that row and that row, it's probably a good 1.5 foot, because obviously as you earth them up, you need the soil, and if you plant them too close together, you're not going to be able to do that effectively. So there, I'll get the rest of these planted. So if you're ever digging around on your plot and you come across these, I don't think my phone's going to get in, but you can see it crawling about there. Another one there. Oh, there's some more there. Ever wondered what they are? They are velvet mites. The Latin name I won't try and pronounce because I'll get it wrong. But they're not harmful to people. In fact, I think these are more likely harmful to spiders and stuff, because they're parasitic. They'll latch on to spiders and lay eggs, and then once they hatch they drop off. But they won't do any harm to you, and they won't do any harm to your plants either. At least in my experience they don't. But they're an interesting find, and they're usually found in sort of leaf litter and stuff. So you might have seen them in woodlands as well. But yeah, so there you go. It's one of the many bugs you'll find on an allotment plot. Right, best get on with my digging. Right, so I've done all the spuds. I've done a bit of weeding and that, I'll show you that in a minute. The last job, or the last thing I wanted to do before I left today was plant these. There's one there, and one or maybe two in there. And they're horseradish. We've had these in pots for a few years now. They'd much rather be in the ground, and they came off a much larger plant which we took root cuttings from with the idea of growing them on. However, the main plant died for some strange reason, which is odd because this sort of grows like a weed, literally. Horseradish, if you never had it, it's great, especially on certain foods, but it's a member of the brassica family, so it's in the same class as cabbages and that sort of thing. So I'm going to take these and just put them in 3 spots around here near the shed. Sun's come out, that's quite nice. And that'll be the last job. Right, let's get these planted. It's not hard, although it is a bit difficult with one hand, but I'm just going to turf the pot out and have a look. I'll break it up a bit. Won't do the plant any harm. So you can see the plant, that's obviously where it's growing from, and these are the tap roots. So it's kind of like almost like a dock leaf, but this is the bit that you're going to want to harvest. And obviously growing them in pots is not a good idea because you need a nice big root which you can then cut up, grate and make horseradish sauce out of. So I'm just going to plonk that in the hole I've made there and fill it back up with soil. So not the easiest thing to do with one hand, but I'll firm that down. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be fine down here. They should grow well in this little spot. So you've got to deal with that, and that's part of the old asparagus bed, but that's getting moved this year as well. So again, I'm just gonna and that will be that. Okay. So that's that done. A few other bits and pieces. I keep finding lemon balm all over the plot where it's self-seeded, so I'm just going to start moving the clumps of it into this bit by the shed. Again, it's a useful plant, especially if you like sort of lemon flavoured teas and stuff. Right, so I've had a bit of a weed in amongst the leeks. A few leeks there. I'll give them a bit of a break from the weeds. I'll do it more thoroughly next time I come down here. Same for the garlic. Had a bit of a weed in here, and the garlic is a they actually look better this year than they did last year when we planted them. There's the shallots I planted last time. The onions, most of which I think I've managed to put back in the ground now after the birds have taken them out. These are rows of potatoes. Some other things that need to be sort of dealt with. We don't really do much with this area along the back here. We grew the brambles and the dog roses up there on purpose because it stopped people climbing over the fence. Unfortunately, the thing with allotments is some are better than others. Some get vandalised and what have you, but the main reason is, one, we've got the brambles up there so we can pick our own blackberries, and also the dog roses, you get rose hips and make rose hip syrup and stuff, but we mainly just leave it because of the 2 apple trees, so that they've got no competition apart from a few weeds. Another job I've got to sort out next time I come down here is move all these. These are blackcurrant plants. They were just cuttings I took. I think that one might have died. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 good plants there which can come out, and we'll pot them up and do something with them. So you can see how fast the weeds will come back, especially stuff like ground elder. That's one of the ones that you really need to keep on top of. But it won't be too much of a problem. Got lots of rhubarb starting to come along. That one's doing quite well this year. And you can see the other ones, the crowns, are just starting to come up as well. But we'll keep on top of the weeding of that. The other thing we've got is this patch here of what looks like weeds. There's another one down there. But you might, if you've watched any of the other videos, there's one where I mentioned that we had a load of self-seeded parsnips. So what we did was we took the seed heads and just scattered them around, because parsnips are a funny thing. The seed doesn't keep well, but there you go. That's a parsnip. There's another one there. I can see a few more as well. So parsnip, parsnip, some there. There's quite a few of them through there here. See on the side, this side as well, like this. Parsnips. So as these get bigger, they're a lot easier to distinguish from stuff like the dead nettle. So we can get in here and weed round them. So we've already got a parsnip crop on the go. I haven't actually checked the ones down here. Again, we just scattered the seed head. We just took the seed head off and shook it about. And there you go, look. There's one. There's another one starting up. A few more around there. There's another one there. Amongst the self-seeded leeks. You can see where they've been in rows, but then obviously there was one flowered there. So there we go. There's the state of the plot after this visit. We're getting there, we're making progress. Most of the stuff that we grow we can't put in the ground at the moment anyway. We haven't started it off on, even in the greenhouse yet. So that'll be a lot of squash type plants and stuff like that. And the tomatoes and salad stuff we grow mainly at home, but we might put some up in the polytunnel this year as well. Right, okay. There we go. Getting there. That's the main thing. Things are happening. Alright, thanks for watching.